It's going.
We're good. All right, seeing that it is 6:30, I call this meeting of the Budget Committee to order. If you join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of
The United States of America, and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
My name is Elizabeth Basco. I'm here as the chairman of the school board, opening this meeting so that we can have you all select your chair, and then whoever you select can then take on the rest of the meeting, and I will just be here to listen in. So, do I have a nomination for chair of budget committee?
I move that Garrett's chair again.
Do I have a second? Is there any discussion on said nomination? Willing to do so?
Yes.
All right, seeing no discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, I turn the meeting over to Garrett Hill.
Can we have some introductions first? I'm just curious. Hello, new people.
Absolutely. Melissa blazed over him on the agenda.
Oh, I didn't even.
No, let's start right with Suzanne, and I know the AI likes it when we do the introductions.
Suzanne Clark, and I'm representing Alstead.
Ryan Schoonover, Ackworth.
Steve Rossio, Walpole.
Garrett Neal, at large, residing from Charlestown.
Jacob King, Charlestown. William Rashansky, at large.
Very good. Is there a nomination for a vice chair for the committee, in case I
I'll
don't
do
have
it.
perfect attendance? Do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, wait, were you volunteering or
I
not?
volunteer, because
Oh, I guess I need a nomination.
Oh, I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Steve Delesio will be the vice chair. As far as secretary goes,
Not it.
I think everybody else should share the load somehow.
I will do tonight, but not it on the regular.
I will say the IT department shared an AI thing with me. It gave me a layout. I still didn't pull it off, but it was very, very helpful. So there is resources, and they just have to mention this thing's recorded forever in perpetuality on YouTube. We just have to have brief comment on whatever the agenda is. It doesn't have to be a Stephen King-esque 6-page.
Well, per RSA 91A, right, to no law, you need who attended, who called to order, like all your motions and stuff.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, it's a little bit more than that, and they're required by law 5 days after the meeting to be available to the public. FYI.
So I epically failed the group at that last year, making sure that happened. So what Ryan said on the minutes,
is the school district allowed to use like OtterBox or any of those, this one through online?
I would. Let you refer
Do you
that
like,
to the
when we do Zoom meetings like this, we have a AI assistant that runs with that and generates the minutes of the meeting?
I know the built-in assistant within Zoom is running.
I'm sorry.
Zoom has its own built-in AI to take minute taking,
Okay,
and that is what Garrett
The
was
overview.
referring to that we give them.
okay,
and I only got the last time, and it was nice.
all right,
We
so,
give them to the school board usually, but we can start it for the budget committee. I was gonna ask you that this afternoon.
yeah, you send it to me, I'll turn it into
Perfect.
perfect minutes. We have the tools.
So did you just volunteer as secretary too?
Sounds good.
Well, not on a permanent basis, but I'll get it going. If you do it this week, we'll do it the next meeting.
Sounds great.
And then somebody else, I'll see how difficult it all gets to.
Thanks, Steve.
Very good.
We'll give it a shot and see how it works out.
Any public comment?
For the record, I don't know if it's running on this meeting.
It's fine, I got it.
Thank you. Seeing none, all right, orientation materials. I did not print them all, folks, because we sit here and whine about how many pencils we're using. I did print out the first one because it's the budget committee guidelines and it's short. We'll get everything emailed over to people. I'll have to scan this fat stack and stuff in. But in the packet includes the budget committee guidelines, which were in the agenda packet, which goes over what our objectives is and the committee authority and meetings and the committee member duties. I believe, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, was it about 2 to 3 years ago you guys put this together?
Yeah,
Um,
2024.
for continuity, the rest of the packet includes the articles of agreement. New Hampshire state statutes, Title III, cities, villages, districts, and unincorporated places, Chapter 32, municipal budget law. It's a really interesting read. And then there's also New Hampshire statutes, Title 15, education, Chapter 195, school districts. That's got a lot of good info in it. I didn't list this one in my haste making the agenda. It's something Misty sent over. That's a really good read, non-sarcastically. It's boiled down version. It's put out by the New Hampshire Municipal Association of budget committee guideline type stuff. We'll get all that too. I feel it'd be a drag on the meeting to dig into it further, but being an open meeting, you guys want to have any conversation on it or questions, we can have at it.
I'll read it first, then I'll ask questions. Sounds good.
Perfect. 2 sessions ago, the budget committee put together what was called Budget Committee 101. I'm gonna recommend, and I'll fish out what meeting it was and what dialed in. Start at this time, watch it to that time. It's a really good presentation on a lot of the budgets. It covers and fishes out a lot of the important stuff in the above listed documents. And we'll send that over via email too. Any questions on that?
Nope.
Moving on to the list of useful documents, Steve put this together. I'm gonna let him speak to it a little bit more.
So somewhere, I don't know how many years ago now, it's gotta be 3 years ago maybe. We wanted to know what we wanted, what kind of documents we wanted when. Right, make it easier to try to schedule these things. So the first part is prior to the draft budget. We would like to get actual versus budget expenses. I think we should ask for it at least quarterly. It would be nice to have it monthly, but okay. If there's an updated capital plan. And what it does is that'll help us identify large capital expenses, student count by grade in school, teacher count by grade in school, and what that'll do is help us to develop a student-teacher ratio. The DOE 25, when it becomes available, helps identify revenue. Updated apportionment percentages, by articles of agreement, that's supposed to be done every year. I'm assuming it's done every year, but I don't think it's done. I think it should be done at the board meeting and then published. I don't remember what the exact words of the article of agreement are. What's being held in reserve. Because the special education is such a large part of the overall budget, I think we should have some kind of summary of what's going on with that. And between line transfers, when one line is going over, the board has the authority to move money from one place to another. It'd be nice to know what those movements are, helps us identify where there's issues or concerns in the budget. And then with the draft budget, similar kinds of things. Just when we should get it, with the draft budget, we should get the actual capital spending. Actual versus budget again, October student count. I think that's important to get, what the surplus is gonna be projected. What new hires might be listed, special education again, education plan. I've never really seen a education plan. And as a budget committee, and I don't even know if I've seen one as a,
What do you mean by education plan?
what are we looking to do in the following school year?
Oh.
What's the administration
Strategic.
planning on doing? Not even a strategic plan, just like a high level thing, like, oh, we wanna do this at this school, we wanna do this at this school, educationally wise.
Like
You know, we're gonna try to
curriculum?
improve grades. First grade scores by 2%. We're gonna try to improve this by 5%. Just something, some kind of education plan. I don't think I've ever seen one, but maybe it's comes through somewhere. The draft budget, obviously, the DOT 25 if it's available, capital plan again. Warrant articles if they're ready, tax rate projection. And overview of grant projection. I don't know if again, we don't even really see what grants are coming through or what's planned grants that we should be seeing, but it would be nice to know what we're applying for and what comes through naturally. I guess ESSER funds is one that comes through every year. I don't know if there's others that comes through.
ESSER funds don't exist any longer.
Yeah, they died, you know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Those are fair.
yeah, so I don't know what other grants may be out there that we're applying for or looking for safety grants and things like that. It'd be-
1, 2, 4. Special ed IDA.
Yeah, I don't know, like I said, it's just be nice to kind of know what's going on with the grant world as part of the budget package. So that's why this was put together, was it's been around for a couple of years, but I don't think we've kind of moved out on it, but it's okay. But it does give us a roadmap of information. I know Jamie looked at this as well and thought it was on the right track. That it wasn't over asking, and I don't think it's under asking either. But I think we should make a request now for budget versus actual, or actual versus budget, because seems to take a long time to get that report. I'm not sure why.
Some of your grant projection is also gonna go along with your education plan the following year.
I would think it ties together, but it would be nice to know, like I said, what's the big plan? Look like, not the strategic plan, but what's the bigger yearly plan look like? It should be the objectives to meet the strategic plan, right? But whether or not that's. I know the strategic plan is on the list, right? Things to work on the school board.
Yeah, so we have a meeting scheduled for Saturday, February 18th. That will lay out all those things.
Yeah.
A lot of those things are gonna be incorporated in the committee that we have spoken about for the. Fair schools agreement and all of those things are gonna be discussed in the chat.
Now, I put it in electronic form, that's just my personal preference to get things electronically, not in paper. But certainly people can make requests any way they want. I know some people like paper, you like paper. And everything, I like everything in Excel, so I can change things and move things around and.
I'll second that, yeah. Well, normally I like it digitally too, but my laptop's dying because I'm assuming my son never plugged it in for the last 3 days, so.
But Excel too, you can see what affects what, right? You can change the factor and see what
Yeah.
the outcome is
Yeah.
easier.
Yeah, it's good for. Especially when you're looking at expenses, I don't care about. 1 or 2% anywhere, I just wanna see where the big problems are.
Right.
Focus energy. If we can. And it'd be good for the meetings too, to be able to have this data available to us to look at the meetings.
Does the school board start looking at reports this early? If we're asking for it, okay. And we're probably more focused on financial than the school board, but at some point it'd be good to get on the same page too. I wonder how you guys manage staffing and financial matters. That way we're on the same page. We're using the same sources of information, maybe coming to the same conclusions as much as possible.
That is ideal, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So I had a conversation today, because I knew you're gonna have this meeting this evening to talk about what this fall would look like, about when information would roll out. A lot of this information you can use from years prior to get a sense for what the projections are and things like that. We don't they don't start building the budget. It's always budget season, but they don't really start building the budget until they come back to school in September. So that's when all the administrators put out their start from scratch budget. They aggregate those, then the process goes. So we look to get that budget, that first draft in October. So we've talked for several years about doing joint meetings and things like this. And so what I'd like to do this year, if it's amenable to this board, is to have you join us, not as a specific joint meeting, nobody needs an additional meeting, but at our second meeting of the month for the months of October, November, December. If we need September, if we get, all of this information and it seems to be going smoothly. So at that, what I would expect to happen is that everybody gets the presentation for the draft budget together. We get all this information together. We all take it our separate ways. And you come here and you have your conversations, essentially audit what's in there and bring back at the next meeting, what you see in it. The school board brings what they see in it and we have that discussion. I think that's one thing that has been missing in the last 3 or 4 years, however long we've had this statutory budget committee, is that we don't actually ever get to sit and have that conversation that says, well, we see this and we see this. What does that mean? And how does that affect what potentially that educational plan is? Why does this look the way it is? So if it's amenable to you, that's what we would like to do going forward.
I think that sounds like a great plan. I don't know what
Yes, that's, yeah, sounds good.
Well, then unless something changes, I will bring that back as we're scheduling out our year. Second meeting of the month for essentially October, November, December. That's what we will look at. That will include the budgets, every draft budget that we end up getting with all the changes. You'll see where those changes come from. It will include the warrant articles, so we can have those before the budget hearing and have more robust discussion about all of that.
Any questions or more conversation on the list of documents? Before we move on. Very good. Included is. Oh, the wrong stat, sorry. The last financial report that was given to the school board. School board requested that we get it as well, and it was emailed to me, and now I'm giving it to you guys.
So. This is what we're up to.
Yep.
This is great. I said that the last time, but it's meaningless when it comes, it should come out every month. From the administrator, from the VA. I don't know why it's hard, but. We need to get this out. Let's bring it in November, November 30th, and it's now April, doesn't make any sense.
4 months old.
That's what I was thinking too when I saw it.
I do know from watching the school board meeting that 2 school board members addressed the same concerns.
Right.
Oh,
And that, glad you can make it.
Welcome.
Sorry, actually, before you sit, I'm gonna give you a minute.
Yeah. Down there, I was icing my knee
Oh, no.
and a beach all on it last week.
This being older, I don't know if it's worth much time diving way into it, unless you guys really want it.
I feel like this was
Look
the
at the
number I
format.
looked at during the budget season.
Same document.
Yeah.
Well, we should get it every, I think part of our responsibility is to monitor. What's the actual is going on, that's part of the RSA, it says our responsibility is to. Also be a monitor to the finances, but without getting information, it's pretty hard to monitor and ask questions.
Yeah.
But this was a good document, I don't know why, like I said, I'm not sure why it's so hard to get. But it doesn't come out even quarterly, it just doesn't come out, so.
Some,
Can someone remind me the link or the email or how we reach out to get this information? Because I can send an email asking for a more up-to-date one to be emailed to us. Is there like, I can't remember if there's. the
There's a
record
form
request.
that's,
So there's
Is
still
it
a
the form
link,
request? Okay.
yeah, cause that was a little bit further down the agenda,
Oh,
but we
sorry.
can, we can hit it right now since we brought it up. When Lori sent this over, she sent me a link. And that looked a lot, like, I didn't open it up and start going through it, but it looked pretty much like the one we were using last week. Um,
A right to know link?
no, it was more of a,
but the school administrators didn't want like everybody blasting them, because then they had trouble keeping track of all the questions. So they created a link with a form that you fill out. And then you send it out, and I guess it gets distributed to the right people, and they're supposed to answer it. But what I found is you have to do it at least twice.
Sounds like a digital work order ticket.
Yeah, digital.
kinda, it sorts it for them instead of us blowing their email up and having to keep track of it.
Right,
So that's why she never responded in emails, because I didn't do that.
it's just like,
We don't, you must have to request it individually, like if I wanted, I request it.
yeah, you can just go online.
Well,
Yeah.
why wouldn't we all agree that we want certain reports and just have them sent out to us?
That's
That would be my,
And then, let's ask why this doesn't get done monthly. Is this put together in a spreadsheet or like handwritten? It should just be.
Oh,
a
we as a
button.
group can ask every
Push it
month,
and run.
I think they might appreciate it if we. For the most part, funneled our questions and lofted them to them.
Yeah.
Through one or two people instead of 8 people handling it up, well, there's not 8 of us, but.
Yeah, you
I'm
don't
doing
want
my best not to do anything individually.
Last year Steve did most of it.
Yep.
What I found is you have to at least follow up 2 to 3 times before you get any kind of response.
Well, I'll get one sent out either tonight or tomorrow morning.
Good.
I'll do that and I will ask for the most up-to-date one of these so we can have it.
Well, but why don't you just ask the group to tell them we want it monthly?
We've requested that in the past. I will, if there's like a text box, I will.
Keep requesting it and hold them accountable.
Yep. Is there a text box, Steve? I'm assuming when you want.
Yeah, you go on and it says what's the subject and
Okay,
financial report
Right.
and just.
I'll forward you what Lori sent.
the
Yeah,
link with the link.
it's not hard.
Yeah, if you wanna forward that to me and I can send one out on behalf of all of us, if
Yeah.
everyone's okay with that.
Yes.
the only question I have to that. Stick up for Lori, is our finances net 30, net 60, net 90, net 90, is it that? If it would be net 90, it would be a quarterly versus a monthly,
I think our terms in net 30.
okay, you follow what I mean?
Yeah, so the
I
standard
will-
counting period.
That
Yeah,
makes sense.
but I believe our terms are net 30, so,
I'm just throwing that out there,
yeah,
cause I don't
I
want,
would be happy to get it quarterly. I mean,
Quarterly, it's fine, whatever the standard accounting period is.
6 months or every.
I assumed it was a month, because in my entire career it's always been a month.
right, well, I
It's all months, so.
well, normally things are, but lately with the normal things have been spreading out 60, 90, but, I'm just throwing that out there, cause if we're getting something, we might get the same document 2 months in a row, and then the third month, we completely, and we're just like, why did this change all of a sudden? Because all of a sudden she had 30 bills versus 2 bills.
Alyssa, is
Sorry, what
a
was-
standard accounting period monthly, quarterly, something else? I prepare monthly financial reports at work.
We get those, or we're supposed to get them quarterly, but we, in terms of looking at manifests and things, that's done weekly, so. Check runs get done weekly.
I'm just trying to save Lori a little bit of work.
Yeah,
It sounds like quarterly for this report, it'd be the reasonable expectation.
We'd love to get it quarterly.
So I'll ask for the most recent one, because there's probably one more recent than what we have
This is the one the school board was given on Monday,
on Monday. Okay, I missed
and
that.
this was emailed to me today.
Okay,
So this is the most current one they're furnishing.
got it.
we ask the school board or Lori, if there is a standard accounting period?
Yes, because we have
What it
a,
is?
we can either go through that conduit, the link, and we have Krista as the school board rep.
And my
to the
definition
committee.
of standard accounting period, it means, at the end of that period, you can produce financial statements. I hope she's reconciling bank statements and things like that monthly, but, if. Anyway, standard accounting period, be good to know.
Is there anything else on the financial report? Moving on. New business, we need to decide future meeting dates. This is a room full of super busy people. The IT department did request that we opt for the first Wednesday of the month for their scheduling purposes. That was reached out to me today.
First Monday of the month, so.
Yeah, first Wednesday.
First.
Oh, I was gonna say, school board's on Monday.
Yeah, I don't know why I said that, on Wednesdays. The first Wednesday would work better for the tech support, which is an invaluable tool. But I don't know about schedule conflicts with all the other boards and committees, some of those committee members' obligations have.
Works for me, no conflict.
No conflict.
I'm good.
I think that works for me.
I don't have.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh, perfect, because I was worried about the two select board members having like this.
Well, we are using Charles.
Monday, Thursday.
I can handle that.
Wednesdays is like the only day.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
interesting now.
And we start them at 6 instead of 6:30.
Absolutely, we can do whatever you got. You guys wanna start them at 6? We can start them at 6. I'm down for it.
It's fun with
It
me.
works for me.
So we'll do repeating first Wednesdays. Here. Unless otherwise noted. 6 to 7:30, hopefully.
And then on top of that, come October, November, December. Every second. Right,
I'm sorry.
then come November or just, October,
It's
every
the-
second meeting.
So it's the fourth Monday of every month.
That's right.
That's good for everybody.
Yes.
Alrighty, so on future committee goals, we got a little bit of lag before we get working on next year's budget where we could dive into the weeds to something. And if 1 to 3, 4, 5 things, whatever we want, as long as we're in scope. I don't know what you guys wanna do. I know we should have some sort of plan or discuss some sort of plan after we let the idea marinate at the next meeting, so that when we come to these meetings, we're productive.
I think one thing we should think about. Because there's so many new players around the table, is how to read the. Budget, how to read the budget report. Because there's function codes, object codes. All those good things and how to sort them and things like that.
That's something you can run point on.
I'm not the best to do it, but I can certainly know.
I'm just admitting I'm weak in that.
I,
Yes, Alyssa.
I think Jamie would be perfectly willing
Yeah,
to come back.
if
and do that.
Jamie's,
She would be perfect for that.
that's what I was gonna say, Jamie's the best to explain it all. But I do think because there's so many new people around the table, it would be worthwhile having a session. About that.
Is there any joint goals the school board wants?
From the budget committee? Not at this time. We have a major planning meeting coming up, so we'll have more information after that.
That's what I was afraid of.
Sorry I was late. I didn't know there was a meeting tonight, but what he told me.
Oh, sorry,
I'll
man.
get better at this.
No worries. You made it.
Made it,
And he's official now.
Yeah.
Perfect.
yeah,
Welcome aboard.
Good to have you.
thank you.
Do you need introductions real quick?
Nah,
Okay, I'm Garrett.
I wouldn't mind knowing everybody's name, but I'm horrible with names, but
Jacob King, Carol Fong.
they good.
Bill Rashansky at large.
So nice to meet you. I'm Matt.
Good to meet you.
No,
Suzanne Clark from Alsted.
nice to meet you, Suzanne.
Ryan.
Amber. How you doing?
Yeah.
How are you? And then, So, as I'm new to this, you guys are gonna have to guide me through a little. Is this a weekly meeting, a monthly meeting?
Monthly.
Monthly?
And then next fall, they'll probably be doubled up to 2 a month.
It gets hectic between October-ish and December.
What's what is it, the second, whatever, of every month or
First Wednesday of the month,
first?
six, going forward,
First Wednesday of every month?
6 p.m., usually right here.
Somewhere in the late fall or early December or something. There's usually one Saturday meeting that goes for a couple hours
Yeah,
to kind of work out a little details.
Yeah, I didn't even know there was a meeting. That's my wife. I was in, at my store, I issued my knee because I dropped a beam on it like a couple weeks back, jacking up the house, but. There's hopefully I'll be, yeah. I'm just gonna try to be quiet and catch on to things.
Oh, but feel free to speak up.
Also know that the meetings are recorded.
Well, it's good, you always can go back and listen to them.
I did have a question, actually, maybe you'll help me out with.
Absolutely.
I've never been a big fan of the, let's not. Use items that we've already paid for so that we make sure we get the same budget next year. Now Bernie whispered in my ear the other day that in the Sarah Porter School in the basement, I don't know if this is true or not. We have tons and tons of reams of copy paper that have been purchased but not used because no one wants to use it. Because then the next year we would lose the money for more copy paper in essence. Does anybody know if there's any truth to this, that there's a boatload of reams of copy paper in the basement of Sarah Porter? And if so, why aren't we using it? Just curious if anybody knows about it.
I can't speak to Sarah Porter, but, so I used to be a teacher in the district, so there were times towards the end of the year, we might order it early to have it. And we would store it for the next school year, but we would use it, so I know sometimes it's been in like 10+ years ago, it was ordered in bulk. And saved for the next year, but not, I'm not sure, I can't speak to what is in the Sarah Porter basement, or if they're using it,
Or
or how.
anybody, does
Or, and
anybody,
yeah, any
anybody know of a huge stockpile of copy paper as an instance?
No,
Nobody's aware of it then? Does anybody know if there's not paper in the basement at Sarah Porter?
I didn't know there was a basement at Sarah Porter, if I'm being completely honest.
This is just where I, someone said, oh, I heard you're on the budget committee, I said, yeah, I guess so. And they went on about it, I'm like. So years ago, I was remember my hometown committee, we had an issue with that, where. You use up all the budget just to make sure you get the same budget next year.
We do it in healthcare too.
Yeah, it's always something that's irked me, it's like, well, if you could save the taxpayers money this year, maybe you should try to do that. That's kind of where I stand on it.
well,
So I thought I'd ask.
ideally here, they try to do zero-based budgeting, which means that they don't do that, where they try to, the principal of the school or the school team will look at. What do we need? And just because they order 20 reams of paper one year doesn't mean that they order 20 again the next year. Ideally, that's how it should be done.
Does anyone know how we could find out if this?
Call the principal and Sarah Porter and ask him.
I can,
I mean, what I was told, and the gentleman who said that, he said it was like a year ago, he was down there on whatever reason, I don't know, and there was 2 pallets of coffee paper. I said, that's an awful lot of coffee, and he asked about it, and someone told him, yeah, we gotta keep using up our budget to make sure we get the same budget next year. That's why I'm asking. Out of curiosity.
Well, based on this past year. Each of the schools, the principals of all the schools were able to reduce their budgets.
Good,
They they did a tremendous job. They offset the increase in health insurance, which was significant in the district, it's like 21%.
nice.
And they were able to offset that and reduce their budgets in all the schools. So I think. So I don't know what they're doing, but they were able to do it,
Well, good.
and I think they deserve an awful lot of credit for that. And I think this budget committee would stand behind that,
Yeah, and
so
sounds.
we have
wonderful.
other areas of concern, but that's not where the concern really is at this point. But
What? Concerns not where, but why?
I'm not concerned so much at the school level, I'm more concerned at the high school and more concerned at the SAU.
Yeah.
That's to me where we need to be focusing our energies. The elementary schools and primary schools seem to be doing their job well. As far as I can see anyway.
There was some discussion about that at the last budget committee meeting, what do we think our agenda should be? Do we want to talk about that just broadly tonight?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get going on right now. Perfect. What do you wanna see done, Bill?
Well, the timely reporting,
Uh-huh.
and then just talk about what we're here to do. I mean, what does it mean to be on the budget committee? What is our job? And one of the things I didn't hear is to represent our constituents. I think there was general agreement that we don't decide the direction that the, school should move in. That's the school board's decision. But to what extent are we responsible for reminding them that our constituents, I'm at large, so it's really hard for me to talk, but like, if one town firmly wants the budget to decrease and another's like, we don't care, we just wanna make, elementary school better, like, how do we take that into account, representing our constituents? And I don't have an answer, but that's, that's the focus, that's the thing. I'm just gonna keep in the back of my head as I go forward.
Well, I agree with you there, and in my opinion, the board's #1 goal is to act as a checks and balances to protect constituents from overspending and spending foolishly, while still trying to provide a way for the school board to get what they need to provide proper service to the kids in the school.
Right, but overspending is kind of a loaded word. It's, some towns might be willing to spend more on something they believe in, and other towns just don't want to spend at all. They just want to cut programs. And I don't even know that we get that far into the weeds. Like, do we get into the price of a ream of paper and scold the school board if they're paying too much?
I think part of
I
our
hope
goal
not.
now, in this time frame between now and October,
Yeah,
things start to really get crazy. It's the monitoring phase. That's one of the things I think we need to do better, right? We need to get that information so we can start looking at what's going on in the school district in real time. Then we can see where there's areas of concern. Why is this area going over budget, or why is this area so expensive compared to other things? Then we also have time to do some research backwards, right? Like, what is the real cost of doing this program? All right, we can start asking better questions, but by doing it all and trying to do it all in a 3-month period is almost impossible. You just can't.
so I like to spend time in the weeds. Do you think it'd be too intrusive if we asked them for a copy of W3 and the annual payroll reconciliation?
Can ask.
Okay.
Can ask for everything.
I mean, gross pay is the biggest part of the budget, so let's make sure they're not putting something else to that account. And I shouldn't say that.
Well, you really want to dive into method 6.
Method 6. okay.
Method 6 is where you want to dive into.
Jacob, or you're yielding.
She's probably gonna say the same thing.
Take the floor, I'll just, you need me.
So when it comes down to personal payrolls, we gotta be careful, I believe.
That's why I said W3, that's the
Yeah.
summary.
To add to that, I'm actually very curious also into not personal pay scales, but pay scales on steps for Fall Mountain. And actually with that, some of the HR policies, healthcare policies. I don't wanna know what teacher makes, what, well, that's not all right, personally, that's unethical, but.
That actually is public information as well, and that is, I believe, in.
It is
Small.
provided to us when we get the budget.
When we get the binder,
But I think I get where you're going, and I respect that.
Yeah.
We just wanna compare it to other towns, we just wanna know. if it's
Oh, I'm all for that.
How do we stand? Can we get a better deal? Is someone else getting a better deal? Ask them how.
Can you define what you mean by other towns, like other towns outside of our district?
Sorry, districts.
Okay, okay, yeah,
SAU 29.
yeah, I just wanted to,
Yeah,
I just wanted to make sure that.
I have to
we
work
were on
on
the.
vocabulary on this.
No, you're totally fine.
So I do want to share with you that our CBAs, the collective bargaining agreements that have those pay scales are public documents. They're available on our website for many, many years back. We are renegotiating the future contract, of course, again this year because it did not pass in March. But you can go back and that is included in that document. So you can see exactly what the pay scale is here.
It's also when you get the actuals and budget, you can also see it by, you can figure it out by title.
For the administration, absolutely.
You can see it.
Also on that note, we have those manifests that I talked about earlier. Are public documents, they're part of information you can have. You can audit those anytime, whether you're on this budget committee or whether you're a member of the public. So I can send you those if you like.
Okay.
I'd like to,
yes, sir.
just to revisit what you were saying about the reams of paper. You know, we sit here and say, why do they spend that much on reams of paper? But the reality is, if whoever is in charge of, and this is just a generic example, of course, of reams of paper. But whoever is in charge of purchasing that, let's see, you go on staples.com, you can get 500 reams or whatever it is for $8. Then you can go on Amazon and get the same exact thing for $3 with free shipping, right? So if you're talking $5 a pack and you're ordering X amount of packs per year, that makes a huge difference just in the purchase of one item.
Yes.
So
I think that
I'm trying to speak diplomatically the best I
I
can.
agree completely with what you're saying. Most of my life, I've been cost accounting.
You
At
know,
manufacturing companies, and it's just in my blood that you want the best price possible. You're always looking to cut costs without.
well, it's true. I've been in business for over 30 years for myself. And one of the simplest ways to give yourself a raise in business is to cut costs. So you shop around, and then there's the other, kind of like, I think you were saying, some people in town don't want to increase the budget because of whatever reason, and some people in the other area down, they're like, they don't care, they just want the good education. But we have a responsibility to second guess purchasing and spending. It's the whole purpose, a large part, in my view, of any budget committee is to, it can't be. I mean, of course, there's priorities, but it definitely be in there, whether it's paper, or copy machines, or chairs for an office, whatever. I would like personally a recommendation over time, and I'm not trying to come in and spout off too much, I'm just a vocal person in general, is maybe, you know, you have a purchasing agent. Like corporations do it, really go sort through, you know, different, well, here it would be committees or boards, but different departments, you know, they have purchase requests, and there's one guy that sits there and tries to find the best deal for the company, because this being the community, and save a lot of money.
To put it in context. I'm not sure, I haven't looked at the number in a while, but over 80% the budget is cost of salaries and benefits and cost of labor. Affecting our piece of it, that 20% is insignificant. Right? Our effort
Insignificant to who, sir? The taxpayer?
to the total dollars. You can
Well,
cut,
listen, if X person's paying $10,000 a year in property tax, 20% of that is $2,000, that's a big savings.
that is, but that's not the way it's gonna fall. The math won't fall that way. We have a $35 million budget.
Huh?
If 80% of it is in the cost of labor, what's left is it's not a big number. You can even eliminate all that and it won't have a lot of effect on the
It's $7
taxes.
million, sir.
It's not that big of a number.
That's a big number.
It's not, when you put it over the district, it's not gonna have that big of an effect on the tax.
Absolutely, it does.
I mean, can we table this? I mean, if there's
We can table
merit
it.
to saying. We shouldn't spend more on something than, you know, we need
The area to look at is how do you reduce the cost of labor?
I want the W3 and the annual payroll
That's,
reconciliation.
that's right, I agree completely. It's in the cost of labor. We should be looking at the teacher-student ratios. We should be looking at the SAU costs, how many administrators
I agree with you,
at the
sir.
top level that are making six-figure salaries. Do we, for years, we had part-time HR people. Now we have 1.5 or 1 3/4 full-time.
What I'm asking is why does it have to be the 80 or the 20%?
No, you should look at everything, but I think the effort, the amount of effort we put in looking to save. Small amounts of money, we should put a lot more effort into trying to save larger, be able to demonstrate. For example, Chris was talking about going from. Block scheduling to traditional scheduling and how much that could save.
Yeah.
That's a lot more effective, spending time doing those things than looking for,
I mean, surely we can multitask.
when you look at the numbers and look at the process, it's significant amount of work to dig down. And to get down to the level that you want to get down to, again, it's more at the top level. The bulk dollars are way up here, they're not down here.
For perspective, think of it this way, right? If you try to cut $200,000, you're looking at one position. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
So like, it's easier to cut one position than it is to find,
200,000 in supplies.
yeah, nickels and dimes other places. That's, I think, the point he's trying to.
I understand, I agree with what you're saying to an extent, but what happens in,
What I hear Matt, may I interject for a second?
yeah.
What I hear Matt saying is what a very, one of the largest construction company owners in the region ever said to me is a dollar is a dollar. Whether it's in my bank account with 6 digits, Garrett, or your bank account, which is probably negative, because this was a long time ago. But it's stuck with me forever, and I feel with, not to interject and step in on it, but I just feel that that's the argument you're trying to make.
Yeah, it's even in a general store like I have, there's different compartments of that general store. And if you're taking a hit in the kitchen and you're making tons of money in the grocery section. You don't just ignore the kitchen taking the loss because you're making a boatload in the grocery area. You gotta keep your eye on both of eye on the ball on both of them. And the mentality, in my opinion, respectfully, Dave, is I've been on committee over the years. And I hear the same thing over and over, kind of like the 80-20 split, the 70-30 split. And the realization is, the reality is, there's a guy that wants to retire. I mean, I retired early before I bought the store. I was retired. I was trying to build my homestead. And so a guy retires at 62 or 67, whatever the retirement age is nowadays. I have no idea. And he's like, okay, I'm paying $3,000 a year, and I'm just using it as a number, on property tax. And over the next 10 years, all these different boards all say, well, the big number's in that 80%, who cares about the 20%? And then every year his tax rate goes up $100. And over 5, 6, 7, 8 years, now he's paying $4,000. So now this retired guy who's just trying to enjoy his life has to work more hours just to pay that, but even more else, because now he's got federal tax coming out of it and social security tax and every other tax. But now he's back to having like a full-time job because people on committees have the overall attitude, hey, it's just $100 a year. Well, over 10 years, $100 here to $200 here. The person can't even retire and live in comfort anyway, and live out their dreams. And I think part of our responsibility on any type of budget committee is to look out for that,
I will say.
that person that wants to retire and enjoy his property. you know,
Experience,
you know.
Matt, to back both the conversations to Steve's point. When we had the budget rollout last year, Charlestown's tax rate increase was huge. So I really went into the weeds in the two Charlestown buildings, and being a builder and a plow guy and whatnot. I went looking at a lot of those things that are in my comfort zone that aren't payroll, and I'm looking at the budgets for the two buildings going in, wanting to go in with the red pen, and I'm looking at the reality of the situation like, holy smokes. That plow budget's very aggressive. They chopped 30% out of it. The 5-year average doesn't change. I don't know if I'd take that risk if I had to make that decision, and holy smokes, that renovation budget's not big enough for that building, and sooner or later that'll catch up with us. So like, people do grind the pencils.
Yeah.
And so it is easy for, to Steve's point,
It's good, it's awesome that they.
I went in there wanting to find cuts, and a lot of it, I was like, man, they really should add more money back in, but I don't wanna say that out loud.
Well, you just did. Yeah, is the teacher's request for supplies. Right? For their
Yeah.
classrooms. It's appalling. That what the teachers put in for supplies.
With their own money,
No,
no.
what they request,
What
what
they
they're
request.
asking, when principals asking what they need for their classrooms. It's appalling.
In what sense?
They ask for pens, crayons. Insignificant. It's $100 worth of stuff,
Yeah,
right? And again, I'm not talking about being rich or anything like that, but when I look at the energy, why are these teachers even being asked for this? Right? It's bad. It's demoralizing to the teacher. To have to ask them for
I
that.
imagine so.
And one year, this budget committee, first year, maybe, did we put $30,000 back into the budget, or 30 or 40? It
Quite that high.
was it was a number. We put it back in, asking that it be used to give each teacher extra supplies in the classroom. It didn't work out that way because it wound up in the big general budget and never got distributed back to the teachers. But so we're sensitive to that. I'd rather put the money to be able to direct it to the teacher and say, yes. And in Walpole, one year, I proposed giving every teacher $1,000 in Walpole. Rather than their $75 that they were getting. Right?
So they got shut down?
I told them we weren't allowed to do it. Because it wasn't right for the rest of the district, but. Because what was it be, another 25,000 or 30,000 to the overall budget? And when we figured out what the tax impact would be, it would be, not that much money for each, and I know that people of Walpole, they go for it in a second. But that's the problem, right? And like I said, I think. What I answered said was that we should look for the $200,000 teacher. That if we can take that one person out, it's a lot easier than trying to look for all in every budget, but. Everybody's welcome to do what they need to do.
Can I just, sorry,
Yeah, go ahead.
just two quick things before we move on, or just to consider while we're thinking about budget stuff, this conversation reminded me of it, as well as the school board meeting on Monday night when Langdon was talking about Sarah Porter, is teachers are given in the past a catalog to order from that has discounts, but teachers are definitely pinching those pennies to order from all the places, and they know what's best that they need for their classroom. Like, I would always do my budget in hopes that none of my students would get a school supply list. For example, just kind of, so the teachers are doing like what they need the best they can with what they're given for the school supplies in the classroom. And there is a process if you need something bigger, like chairs or tables, or there used to be a process if you needed furniture or a bigger purchase. The other thing to think of as we're talking about looking at that 80% of salary is the one point that I wanted to say on Monday night to the computer screen is that we need to remember that these teachers, they work hard, but they are employees of the Fall Mountain Regional School District. They are not employees of the towns they work in. And that's it. Like, I served the town of Charlestown proudly for 16 years. But every year I got my contract, there was a chance that I could get moved if something happened, and there's a process that administration does. But I just want all of us to kind of, it's easy to forget that part because the teachers are people and you can look at them and be like, oh my gosh, you know, Garrett's a great teacher in Alstead. But it's remembering that, like, if he has to move, they're all in the same area of, like, that they work for Fall Mountain Regional School District.
That's a great part.
Steve, can I put you on the spot for a second?
Yeah.
So. The 80/20, right? A little while ago, you were mentioning how. The primary schools and elementary schools made a huge cuts. To offset that health insurance, right? That's where it came from, that 20% that he's looking for. In my opinion, that's where it came from. They cut all the little stuff. A lot of little stuff adds up to one big number, right? And that's what I think he's trying to get to. Is what can we really cut out of that 20% to help offset that your 80%? That's kind of what I'm,
Yeah,
I'm
no,
trying
I
to,
think it's fine. I just,
right?
like I said, just be aware that it's not that, it's a big number, maybe in dollars, but in percentage wise, it's.
It's actually, it's not so much my desire to cut anything. It's more about frugality, you know.
I'm one of the most conservative guys in this room. So I
Yeah.
totally get
We
that.
all are,
You
yeah,
know,
we all run businesses.
But
when people go shopping with other people's money, they tend not to look for the best.
So-
deals, you know.
Anyway,
the cost of education is a weekly argument in my house. I am here for the taxpayers of Charlestown. But I have that little devil on my shoulder that I live with every day that also reminds me of what it costs to run a school district.
in manufacturing is the same.
It's. I don't always lose the argument. But.
It's fine.
But it's like. My taxes are $9,000 a year, come on now.
Yeah.
What can I?
Yeah.
Where can I help? I mean, I don't have the highest taxes in Charlestown by any means, but.
In manufacturing, we say we want to produce the highest quality part at the lowest possible cost. And that's about what we're
In
trying to do.
healthcare, I work in healthcare, it's the same argument.
Right, we really want to give the best quality education we can to the kids at the best possible cost. That's really what we're trying to do at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
How we get there, I don't know exactly, but that's what we want to do.
I agree. I didn't run for this position. A couple of people asked me if I would, and I said, no. And they asked, what if we write you in? I said, you know, whatever, if people write me in, I'll serve. My only obligation to those people and to people of the town, and from my perspective, is to save them as much money as possible.
I agree.
I'm not looking to come in here, not that I have the power to anyway, but with a chopping axe and just cutting everything and being this monster, but I'll tell you, anything that helps keep it capped or lowered, I'm all for, and if something that's gonna involve raising a penny of somebody's property taxes, I'm gonna oppose. So that's where I stand right up front, that's my guideline, you know? So I'd rather, I'm hoping here and there we find places to cut, so we never even have to get to the issue, do we need to raise? Is there, I've heard from enough people in this town, you know, between Langdon and Walpole, at my store since it's been out, that I'm in this committee now. They're just sick of seeing their tax rate go up, you know, year after year after year. And that's the same, you know, in every municipality. My brother moved to Richmond 25, 30 years ago, and he was paying like $700 a year, and now he's paying $8,000. And the services in Richmond haven't gone up any, there's no new schools, and the roads still are horrible and so on. That's just where I stand on it.
Before I forget, can I, completely different topic?
Oh, sure, I was just getting
Part of the
ready.
101 thing and helping us new guys. Like, can we, is there a organization chart? Like, there's Lori and how many people work for her? Because when I'm asking for information, it's also good to know whether she even has the resources to do it. If it's a one lady show, then that changes things and I'm gonna be a lot less,
They're stretched real thin over there, not even really knowing it and how it works over there, but I just know they're stretched thin.
yeah.
Business office is 3.
It's actually 4, so there's 2 part-time people and 1 full-time person under Lori.
So it's
But
3.
she also is in charge of transportation and
Facilities.
facilities. Her department is, her responsibilities are.
And the other, just, that's it. There's nobody else that does accounting or finance for the whole SAU. 2 full timers and 2 part timers. All right,
That's why I was talking about the monthly versus quarterly.
yeah. Yeah, it'd be hard to do it monthly with that.
Yeah.
Is everybody, so I'm new to this, is everybody kind of on the same page already about chopping a $200,000 salary? Or is this something I'll just start up tonight?
I think that was just an example,
Yeah.
not like
Correct.
we're,
Not speaking in favor of or against, I mean, it's just a
So it's just
comparison.
a,
It's just
yeah.
as a answer to help understand, because you're new.
I know there's a lot of $200,000 salaries for one person.
What's that?
There isn't any $2,000 salaries for one person.
no, I just didn't know if that's.
Well, when you think
Yeah.
salary and benefits,
it's,
that's
I,
how it.
and then for
There, so.
clarification, Matt, when we get to the end of the budget process, we recommend a number
Yeah. that's-
and maybe how to get to that number, but then we hand it off to the school board and the admin. We don't get to dictate how they get to the number.
Yeah,
We're purely advisory.
cool.
Anybody want to add any last minute details on committee goals for the year?
I'm just here to argue those school board.
Hey.
In public. Yeah, now I can do it in public.
I'm not putting that in the minutes.
Tastefully limited.
I've respected our conversations thus far. Now we go into.
So in the communication to the school board part, did everybody catch that Chris is the school board rep?
Yay.
I heard it in my ears this morning.
I'm not upset with you anymore.
Yeah, no, same.
And I was watching the meeting like, and then when you're like, I'll do it, I was like, oh, okay. I'm not upset with you.
I did chuckle when Jamie's like, I don't wanna do it tomorrow.
Question about connecting real quick. So when we get all, before when we served, or when I served on it, and we get all the numbers together. They have to take that number into consideration, but they don't have to do it the way we outline it.
Correct.
All right.
So there's really no meat on the
You
bone.
can decide,
So to speak.
but that's when you.
So what anything you do, right? It's just-
No, but we do have a lot of authority to write to certain information to be able to do our job. It is like the clout. We're here to like balance the collaborative, as how it's put to me. So we have the authority to look at the budgets, make recommendations, but we don't have the authority to tell them how to execute the budget.
We can offer suggestions though, because that's what we did after it was at our December meeting at Cooper. It was one of those longer
Yeah.
meetings where we were like, we think you can cut the budget to this number, and here's where we found. What we think is the best spots to make the cuts, and then that gets presented. And then, but it's out of our hands with where they actually.
How the outcome of that been in the past as far as? The board's recommendation.
It's mixed.
Last year, I think, was great success. I think all parties involved, whether it was the administration, the school board, or the budget committee, worked better together than I observed in previous years.
First year was good, right? Everybody was on page the first year. The second year, I don't think we were all on the same page.
The second year we did not
Right.
agree, but
And what do you mean by second year?
The budget committee, this is the fourth year in the budget committee?
Fifth.
If,
Oh, I didn't realize
no, can't be.
no, this
Is
is the
that
fourth
new?
This is the
iteration.
fourth year in the budget committee.
Is that new of a thing?
Well, it used to exist a long time ago, went away, and then got reinstalled.
Right, so the first year. We were all on the same page, we did together, everything went fine. The second year, it was a disagreement between the budget committee and the school board. I think the school board had really not a big choice because they have to support their administrators. I think that's the right thing to do as a school board. But that's the way it is. And then last year, I think we were on the same page, but it was a difficult year. And then the voters spoke and voted down even the difficult year. They voted it down at the default budget.
But to your question, Matt, as far as all parties involved working well together, we issued we recommend you cut 1.5, or you should cut 1.5, and they got to 1.7 something, so. They didn't just stop at the directive. They did the exercise when they were in there, the admin. Did the exercise, they didn't just, so I think the process works.
But the bulk of that savings came from eliminating open positions. That had been open, that they needed people for, that they just didn't fill those positions.
So in the budget, you're gonna, it wasn't filled?
Yeah, for the budget, the labor portion of the school budget has been very difficult to fill. Since the pandemic, it's been difficult to fill. So a lot of times we put positions in the budget that don't get filled. But you've paid for them in your taxes. Right, so we instituted something called vacancy management. It's unlikely if you have 20 open positions, it's unlikely that they're all gonna be hired on July 1. So you try to stagger them a little bit, make some judgments about when you think they're gonna come on board, and that helps reduce the cost. Right, because you're not paying benefits starting July 1, maybe half those positions will come July 1, the other half will come in October. But that's a big difference in savings there.
So in the meanwhile, though, the tax rate's coming in, so is that, are those funds being apportioned anywhere else? Or are they being in some type of escrow or?
Well, they wind up at the end of the year, you wind up, if it's before July 1, it's unspent money and the school board can decide where they want to donate from.
Where it
by
goes.
the way.
No, I-
If they want, right? If it's prior to July 1, school board can direct those funds where they think is best use.
Elsewhere, okay.
If it's after July 1, it comes back to the taxpayer. Those are unspent funds,
Goes back to the tax.
goes back to the taxpayers in the form of reduced apportionment.
Right, makes sense.
But
I was just curious.
But so for 3 years, it's been over, just to give you a perspective, for 3 years, it's been over $1 million of unspent money. All driven by, I'm not saying all, mostly all driven from unfilled vacancies or unfilled positions in the district. That they have
For
not
3
been
years.
for 3 years.
I think Bill had something he wanted to add.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, is there a report, like an annual report that says what the school board does with those funds, you know? Because there's a pool of money, the school board can direct some of it to, you know, they can do whatever they want with it, and then the rest of it goes to funding next year's budget. So I'd like to know what that breakout
I
is.
got that same question too.
Is there an annual report that shows that?
That can generally be found in the March, April, May meetings, because we do discuss that when we get the report that you have there dated November 30th.
Yeah,
Does show currently what they expect to be unspent at the end of the year. So as we get closer and we know more firm what that number is, we have those discussions about what that will be spent on. I think in my time on the board, we've only gone ahead and spent any of that once. And that was to purchase buses that we're already planning to lease in the future, but we spent that money instead to just pay them off.
but there's no
Yeah.
formal reporting of that, right? That wouldn't even appear in, like, is there an annual auditor's report? Would that appear in an annual auditor report?
I don't believe that's in the audits, which are available on our website as well.
Yep.
You can always find those. That's not something that ends up in the report.
Okay, just curious.
So part of the
Thank
last
you.
3 years, of the $1 million a year. That didn't get spent for new, or some of that month of budget, or is that a whole different stuff?
Oh, that's exactly what we're talking about.
But the school board decided, and it made sense because it would save
Save us
money
money.
Yeah.
in the long run,
Right.
rather than leasing it, pay off the lease and be done with it. Yeah, so I don't know what else may have happened. That's the one that sticks out in my head.
That's the only one we've done so far.
So.
The other piece of this,
Doesn't know where to go, though, to find these numbers, or where money.
well, you have to go back to the administration, to Lori Schmidt, she'll know what they did with it exactly. But the other thing that we do is that if you look at your warrant articles, the last warrant articles to funnel capital. Right? And it varies from year to year how much money we put away into the capital, and that comes from some of that unspent money.
Okay.
Right, we funnel it into capital by a percentage to each one of the different schools and things like that. And that builds up a capital reserve for fixing the schools and doing repairs to the schools later.
So, let's just take that $1 million a year for 3 years, that number.
Right.
It's been diverted to a button. They save money for the taxpayers there. Earlier you said after a certain amount of time.
After July 1st,
After July,
it goes back to the taxpayers.
goes back to the taxpayers in form of a discounted tax the following.
Yeah, it goes into the apportionment formula somehow. I'm not
Okay.
100%
So
sure.
now if that money spent on the buses, that doesn't happen.
That's right.
Right, so essentially, if we raise taxes by X to cover a budget, the budget doesn't get used. Then you can take out of that budget that wasn't used, $1 million in this instance, use it somewhere else. The budget does become used to the taxpayers. Refund, so to speak, in form of a future discount, never happened, right?
Well, it has been happening, right? But I'm just letting you know that prior to July 1st, the school board has the discretion and the authority to move that money wherever they want to move it.
Yeah.
After July 1st, it has to go back to the taxpayers, because one is unspent money, and on July 1st becomes surplus money.
Does it ever go past July 1st? As surplus money?
No, because July 1st is the beginning of the fiscal year.
It gets used up before July 1st.
No, I think the school board has been responsible.
So the buses-
You guys-
Buses were a big decision.
I'm not saying it's a bad decision.
Yeah, and sometimes they divert it in other places, I guess, but I don't think it's I don't think they just frivolously decide to do something. I think they put a lot of thought into it, because they do the work.
I was not
Yeah,
making anything of it.
no, I understand.
With being frivolous whatsoever. I was just curious how the system works.
That's how the system works. If it's prior to July 1, Lori Schmidt, VA, gets up and says, guys, we're gonna come in $1 million under budget. What do you want me to do with it? And then the school board deliberates for whatever period of time, says, you know what? We don't have any big burning projects, nothing's burning down anywhere, we'll let it roll over to surplus.
Has that ever happened?
Yeah,
It happens
yeah,
every
it
year.
happens every year. The amount that comes over is what's, it's the variable.
Do you feel it's been a significant amount every year that goes past the July 1st? Let's say it's $1 million.
I don't know, I don't feel it as much, because it shows up in the tax rate somewhere, and I look at Walpole's tax rates don't really move that much.
No,
We don't see, like Langdon, I know gets beat every once in a while, it goes up significantly, but Walpole's doesn't hardly ever moves. It stays within a small band,
yeah,
up and down,
I'm just curious.
yeah, so I don't really feel it as much. So,
I just don't know the ins and outs yet.
yeah, no,
I'm doing a crash course.
Yeah.
Another quick question, I know towns are not allowed to go over budget, can the school go over budget? So the town always wants a little bit of money, and that money, you know, if it's not used, they usually pay down the tax rate, but, you know, does the school need to do the same thing?
I don't think you can do that in school either.
You can't go over budget.
Right.
So a few years ago, there was a warrant article and it was either zeroed out at the deliberative or it was voted down. And I actually think it was zeroed out at the
Yeah.
deliberative. That would have allowed the school district to hold back some of that.
Right,
So we don't have that in force here in this district. We can hold back nothing.
Yep.
So we do use those capital reserve funds through that warrant article to be funded from surplus this year. Of course, that got zeroed out as well, so that won't be happening, but it happens most years. You never want to budget so that you're so close to worry that you're gonna go
Right,
into the
yeah.
fall.
Yeah, there's
So the
a,
question is $1 million as a percentage of the total budget too high in your judgment? Because I'm sure we all have different opinions. So, I don't know.
So at 2%.
there's only one case where the school can go out of, default on the budget, go over budget and have money to get it, and that's if the budget goes over because of special ed.
Okay,
There's a reserve for special ed, so if the entire district goes, I don't know if we changed that. If
No, that
passed-
one is very much in force,
It didn't pass it, didn't we change the conditions?
not on that one.
Not-
Talked about it.
We talked about it though.
Yeah.
But yeah, so. If special ed forces the budget to go over, then they have a reserve to make up for that.
So for example, if, family moved in with 3 students who then needed to be out of district, that tuition could be fairly significant. If they move in December, we haven't had an opportunity to budget for that. So, and if we can't make it through the year without saving $750,000 somewhere else, we would have to take it out of a special reserve fund. So we do have that safety net. And I do hope that it stays there.
One of the things that you have to be careful for is the special ed. Just in general, right? To meet the 1.5 million or whatever recommendation, they eliminated a lot of special ed positions that weren't filled. But those services still have to be provided. Right?
Mhm.
So instead of having somebody in-house that's gonna provide those services, now we're gonna contract out. To get them. So you're taking a risk when we don't have those positions. Because outside services for special ed students, speech therapy and all these things are very expensive. So you're taking a risk that nobody in your district is gonna come along and need those services. When you eliminate those positions. It's a risk. And for that.
Is that part of the, that 1 million fund that you're talking about?
Well, if you leave them in the budget, we don't hire them because we can't hire them, then we pay in that budget, that becomes surplus money.
So after, say, after 3 years of $1 million a year budgeting for positions, I assume including special ed, that keep getting put in with with the assumption that they're probably not gonna be filled, and at the end, by July 1st, some of that's gonna be able to be used for something else. When does it come to, well, we put $1 million in for the last 3 years in that budget, how about we do $500,000 this year?
And I think that's what they did, basically what they did to meet this $1.5 billion budget cut that we asked for.
That's how-
They looked hard at those positions and eliminated them. There was one year that we had, it was a painter. If I remember correctly, we didn't hire the painter for like 2 years, maybe 3 years. So we just cut that one out of the budget finally. We said, you're never gonna get a painter.
I would like to kind of get off the open discussion and get to the last agenda item just out of, so we're not here super late. We usually carry communication to the school board as the last ish item on the agenda, because it's easiest to put together after we have a whole meeting. Suzanne's gonna do,
I'm gonna send a form request for the most up-to-date, or I'm gonna ask about when we can get more up-to-date information for forms, because that is the November 30th, it currently is the most up-to-date. So moving forward, requesting to be provided the most up-to-date information. Correct? Correct.
Right.
And then I have, I will ask what the standard accounting period is through that form, just so we know. And then I do, also have discussion about having access to the W-3 and payroll reconciliation.
I just wanted to know if they do it. It would just
Yeah.
help me feel better that the financial statements
Yep, and I will put.
are good.
And Garrett, I just need you to email me the link.
yeah, I'll send you in case it's different from the one that was like, it looked the same, but I don't know.
Okay, yeah, and then I will get this done. Morning, I'll get it out I'll get the form submitted, it won't take long.
And then we'll try to get the last year's budget binder turned on for you new committee members.
Thank you.
Cause last year's data, if we wanna dive off into the weeds. It does show the last 3 years plus the year, well. Gives us plenty to look at, if we wanna look for trends and stuff, and you can identify areas you wanna look at ahead of time. For next
No agenda coming into this.
So I got a question on communication from school board to us. Are we still going through one person, or is it gonna be distributed directly to you? Maybe before stuff was being given to Jamie, and then Jamie would give it to us at some point in time. So is that still the process, or is that gonna change, or
Well, how is it best for you?
I think whatever financial information that the school board gets should be distributed directly to Garrett and let him pass it on to us?
You're happy to act as middleman, like, it comes to all of us individually in our board packets, do we wanna just have a separate,
Or just have Lori send the board packet to
yeah,
the chair?
Can it just be stuck on a Google Drive? Don't we have access to some drive that is financial information?
well, that's good.
How was it done?
Oh, do you make
It
it?
doesn't work that way.
So that's the stuff they upload during budget season, and I'm just proposing getting you guys last year's information.
Oh, yeah, I was just thinking that anything that we request could automatically just be put into our drive and then.
I could upload, once it's given to me, I could put it on the drive.
Sure.
Yeah, that's fine.
I prefer a notification when something new comes out, because if you're gonna expect me to just know things are magically.
Yeah.
So do we wanna email and put it on drive in the
I
same?
agree.
Yeah, because I.
I
wanna
would
know
for,
what-
yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we'll do both at the same time.
that would be the perfect.
What's one less step for you, though?
Personal assistant.
I'm not ready for that.
I'm okay if you just want to email it. That might be easier, right? It comes to you by email.
Yeah.
You just send it out.
That's why the board packet, the same way the school board gets a packet would be,
No, I don't ever send it, I've never been the representative.
So that's something Jamie did that I would, so when I get it, I will send it out.
If that works, if the
That works
process,
for
the
me,
previous
yeah.
process,
yeah.
Just
I actually. it
before, we
wasn't
just
even
weren't
aware
getting
how
it in a
much
timely fashion, that's all. That's-
So how you wanna do it?
Yeah.
You send it to me, or you'll send it to the whole budget committee?
everybody.
Yeah, that's fine. Just,
And say that's.
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
get the information out, that's.
Share
Does anybody need my email address or
it. You'll be
anything?
given
Can
an
be
email
given
address.
an email address.
Oh, fancy.
It's gotta go through an SAU email address.
Yeah, he guy over here, we waited 6 months, I know him.
Really didn't have to do that.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe so.
I move to adjourn at 7:53 PM.
Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.